Now that we have our walls in place and a basic understanding of creating layers and fill layers, we can use the same process to do our flooring. Now, we could be filling our floor in with solid colors again, like we did with the walls, and that would be fine. But if you want to do something a little bit more realistic that represents your design a little bit better, you might be using patterns. You might scan in materials that you have, or you might be finding them on the internet, and that's the kind of example that I'm going to show you. So what we're going to be doing is looking at a tileable texture that we're going to be using in our rendering. I'm going to go ahead and open those up so you can see what they look like. So I'm going to go up to File and Open and show you a few examples. So I have things in here like floral patterns that we'll use on the beds, laminate countertop, tile, and wood floors. So at this point I'll open up Wood 1 here so we can take a look at it. And this is a good example of a tileable texture. What that means is that when it's put into a repeat to fill a larger space, like a floor, that it will actually look nice, look seamless, instead of looking like a checkerboard. So if you're doing an internet search, what you want to do is say that you're looking for a tileable texture. Otherwise you get kind of funny edges and things like that. Once we have our image, and if we needed to fix any mistakes or something like that, we could. All we need to do is tell Photoshop, I want you to use this as a pattern. It's extremely simple. What we do is go up to the word Edit at the top of the screen, come down past the middle and say Define Pattern. Simply click on that, and it will ask you if you want to change the name. I think the pattern name is fine. Say OK. And it doesn't really look like anything happened, but it's in Photoshop's memory, and you'll see that in a minute. I'm going to go back to my floor plan file now, and we'll actually put that into practice. So the first step in this process would be to select the areas and create a mask, just like we did with the walls. Remember, to do that, you need to highlight the floor plan outline layer, the layer that has all of that line work information, and then use your selection tools. At this point, I still think the magic wand is going to be the most useful. And then we'll come in, and I'm just going to select the areas of floor that I'm interested in. So I'll click inside this bedroom, for example, and notice when I do that, it's only doing this, continuous or contiguous space. So I'll need to be careful and get inside of the closets, for example, things like that. So I have to really kind of watch where that's going. Notice that it did not get in this doorway here, or maybe inside of this little closet area, and so on. So once you get all of the areas of flooring selected, what we can do is come down to our black and white cookie to create a new filler adjustment layer. But this time, instead of saying solid color, I'm going to pick that third one down and pick pattern. Now, it will always put in the last pattern that was created, so it actually just put in that wood floor for me already. So that's looking great. Notice that you can change. So if I click on this little vertical arrow button, I could come in and pick a different pattern. So I have a lot of different options in here from different projects, or actually even some of the ones we'll be using later. So I could be changing that to a floral pattern, this one, tile, something crazy, whatever it might be. So I'll just go back to that wood floor again. And then see that you can actually change the scale right here. And this is one of the really powerful things about using this tool. So it's coming in at 100%, but I could certainly change that to 30, for example, and that'll make the pattern a lot smaller and a lot tighter. Or I could say, 200 and make it a lot bigger. You'll also see that there's a slider available if you don't want to type the numbers in. I will keep it at 100%. I think that happens to look pretty good. And I'll say OK. Over my layers palette, I happen to have another adjustment layer here. Here's a little thumbnail showing that it's a pattern. It kind of looks like brick. And here is a preview of what that mask looks like. Instead of pattern fill 1, I'm going to change that to say something like wood floor. We'll use the same process to go through and pick areas for tile. So I will do changing it to my floor plan outline layer. I will make sure I have the magic wand tool selected, and this time I'll go in and pick my bathroom, the kitchen, the utility room, any areas that I want to have a tile floor, for example. I will make a new fill layer. This time it'll be for pattern, and then I can come in and pick the tile floor that I have in here. Maybe this one or that one. That one's looking pretty good. And OK. I'll change the name to something like utility floor. Enter. And I'll do the same process for the deck. So don't forget, the real process for getting those images in here is to simply locate them, find whatever images that you like. For example, maybe I'll get something that's looking like this. Once you have an image you like, you say Edit, Define Pattern, and that puts it in Photoshop's memory. So then you can come in and use those anywhere you want to in your rendering. Now that you have the walls filled in and the basic flooring down, you can start looking at adding some details to furniture, accessories, and things like that. And there's, once again, going to be different ways to do this, but using these fill and adjustment layers will be very, very useful and will make the process of changing your mind and making edits later much, much simpler. So, what we can do is set up something like I have here on the right, where we do basic selections on our outline and then create fill layers for our sofa, chairs, tables, deck chairs here, for example, individual plants. And we can also get in and do things like the bedspread, for example, down at the bottom of the screen here with a pattern, even the little pillows. Because, for example, if I decided I wanted to change the color of the sofa, this makes it really easy. I don't have to go in and specifically select it. I could simply come in, double click on that little icon, pick a different color, different shade, whatever it might be, and very, very simply make that edit. I'll just cancel that for now. So the process for that, again, is going to be the same as we did for the walls, same as we did for the floors, but it's a slightly different application. So remember, to do any basic selecting, you need to make your floor plan outline layer active. In this particular file, I just made a copy of it. I have one on the top and one on the bottom, just so it's easier for me to find. Remember, it's just that black outline. There's no background to it. To make a copy of a layer, all I have to do is right-click on it and then say I want to make a duplicate of that layer. It will give you the option to keep the name the same or change it, and we'll add the word copy and then 1, 2, 3, or 4 after that. So if I just hit OK for now so you can see, there it is, it made a copy for me. Then I could click and drag that around and put it anywhere that I wanted to. I'm actually just going to delete that for now. I don't need an extra one, but I wanted to show you. Okay, so I will click on that floor plan outline layer, and maybe I want to come in and do something with this bed, for example. As you see down in the other bedroom, I have a pattern on the bedspread and some colored pillows. Zoom in on that a little. I'll use my magic wand and I'll select the area of the bed that I would want to put a pattern in. So I'll select that. Then I'll come down to the bottom of my layers menu and I will select a new pattern. And then here I can pick from a variety of patterns that I found. Maybe I think this one looks good. I can change the scale if I want to. Say OK. Then in my layers menu where it says pattern fill 1, I'm going to change that to something that makes more sense. This is a good time to bring up layer naming. As you can see at this point, it's starting to get more complicated. So I think it's really worth going in and being fairly picky about how you name your layers. Down here, I have something for the sofa, the chair, the tables, and they have these little letters in front. I think it can be useful to do something like L for living room. So I have L, I know the location's in the living room, dash sofa. L, I know it's in the living room, dash chair. I did A, where if there's multiple pieces of furniture that's in all or many of the rooms, I might say A for all. The deck, D for the deck chairs. A, there's plants in multiple rooms, and so on. B2 for bedroom 2, B1 for bedroom 1. So this is bedroom 1. I will do B1 dash bedspread or something like that. I can also move that layer down and maybe I'd like to put that above bedroom 2. I'll once again highlight floor plan outline, use my magic wand tool, and this time I'll pick the pillows. I'll come down to the bottom to my black and white cookie, click on it, and pick perhaps solid color this time. I'll do a solid color adjustment layer. Then I will pick whatever color I think is appropriate. I could use my eyedropper at this point to actually select a color off of my bedspread if I wanted to, so they match perfectly. Or I could just do it by eye out of the picker. It's completely up to you. If I don't like that color, I can always double click on it in the layers menu and come in and choose again. Maybe I'll do a tint of a color that's in the bedspread. Okay. I will change that layer name to B1 dash bed pillows, and I'll move that down so it's right next to, or right on top of, the B1 bedspread layer, because that's going to make sense. So we can move our way around our floor plan and make all of these fill layers either using solid colors or patterns to get in our different materials, whether it be the bedspread, on our countertops or flooring, wherever it might be.